mega vivid lightning producer.
Now, I know a lot of people kind of compare this to maybe some summertime storms where it's an electric show and there's lightning all over the place. This is not that sort of setup. This is not that scenario. These are the kind of storms which we get in this secondary severe weather season, which typically as we transition from fall into winter, there's so much wind energy aloft up in the jet stream, and that can get tugged and pulled down to the ground. So there's a lot of wind energy, but there's just not a lot of fuel, and the fuel is something that we typically see during those thunderstorms that we get in the summer. These, like I said before, are more of these winter style where we get this squall line of thunderstorms sliding through and these quick spin-ups which occur along them. But still quite a bit of lightning out there for basically 11:30 at night after a day that we saw a ton of rain. And that rain was a good thing because it sort of kind of lowered the severe threat that we have out there right now. So one tornado warning has expired. We continue with this one down to the south. Here's the northern side of that line. And it's still a strong storm, heavy rain, lightning, and some gusty winds with this one. Lawrenceburg, 8 minutes. Versailles, 19. Danville, 35. And in Lexington, around 35 to 40 minutes or so, as this continues to race off to the east around 45 miles an hour. These things are cooking, moving extremely, extremely fast. Now entering Washington, Marion County. Mark's putting a tracker on that one. Lebanon, 9 minutes. Wilmore, about 36. And Nicholasville, 45 minutes or so. These powerful storms moving through, and it's the southern edge of this storm system that basically is producing the strongest storms. And there is your tornado warning. Putting a tracker on that one. Roachville, 11 minutes. Yuma, 25. And Nifley, about 28 minutes or so, if this indeed can maintain its status here. So we are keeping an eye on the southern edge. This is where we have that ongoing tornado warning, and this one until midnight. So we do have a ways to go before this one is out of our hair and leaves us alone. And these things, they just haven't stopped rotating.
No, I mean, the whole southern part of that line continues to have rotation along it right now. I'll take you into Storm View 3D because this is something that we've been able to watch here as the line has made its move off towards the east. Is we have watched, and we've shown you this a couple times, what we call the normalized rotation. And so along this line, traditionally in our area, when you see green, we kind of say green means go. And this absolutely is traditionally when we do get tornadoes. And you can see if you're in the central part of Marion County, if you're in Taylor County, we're watching potential for strong winds for you. It does not extend further north beyond that. Near Pierce, we've got that area of rotation, which is going to go south of Greensburg by probably 3 miles. So the strongest rotation will go along State Road 68, which is south of the Greensburg area. U68 south of Greensburg, that area of rotation will move through. There's a status from the National Weather Service on that. Hannah, you've been kind of watching the National Weather Service and warnings within this line. They gave us a status on this storm. Thoughts on that as it stands right now?
Yeah, so the Weather Service has canceled the tornado warning for Barron and Hart counties. Okay. Remember, this is that second tornado warning, so it looks like at this point Hart County is tornado warning free. You're still seeing rain, you're still hearing the thunder and the lightning, but you're out of the tornado warnings. The warning is still valid for Adair, Greene, and Metcalfe counties. Now in Adair County, it's just that small corner. You can see it there on the map, but this storm is headed your way through the northern part of Adair County as it continues to progress east. So again, the places this warning is still valid, Adair, Greene, and Metcalfe counties until 11 Central. We're pointing out to you the area of rotation just south of Pierce. Mark's going to draw an arrow to that. The bright red, it's very potent. Yeah. I mean, bright red right next to that bright green, that's a pretty good indicator of rotation. And in fact, Rick is over on Storm View HD. Rick, can you explain to us what this means in relation to the rotation we just looked at?
So basically lines up that couplet, that area of rotation, those greens and the reds next to each other, but it simply takes everything else away, and this allows you to see where that rotation is centered around. You can see that just moving into the Pierce area, State Highway 218, to be exact, with one of the roads this will cross right over. Lyalltown Road is another one. Basically, if you live along New Salem Road, any single one of these, O. Patterson Road, this is one of those times where you don't want to question it, you don't want to take the risk, you're not going to say, oh, this never happens to me. This can certainly happen to you, and it's one of those nights you can be caught off guard. So if you live along those roads, if you're in the Pierce area, now is the time to be in your safe place, downstairs, underneath something. Cover your head as best as you can, and just stay down there until the threat is over. I know it's 11:34, and the last thing you want to do is go ahead, wake up the kids, bring them all downstairs. Trust me, it's worth it. This is one of those scenarios you do not want to take the risk. So again, right to the west of Pierce along State Highway 218 is where we're seeing the most powerful rotation. But as we were alluding to all night long, this entire line is unfortunately rotating. So the threat for a quick spin up is not over until we give you the green light and the all clear.
And Rick, you've been watching that storm as it moved through Hart County, and when we were near Horse Cave, we kind of got beyond that green into the yellow, which is a greater indicator. We have seen periodically it come up a little bit in rotation, but this has been generally the strength we have seen of this storm. Even when it came out of the Barron County area, out of Warren County, moved into Hart County, and I think we're probably seeing a tornado that has skipped at times through parts of these areas. Maybe not one of our long trackers, but still, I think at times we're definitely getting some damage. Stefan Johnson, by the way, was driving along I-65, and he texted me and said that he was moving through Bonneville and Uniontown along 65, and his exact words were, it is scary. Oh. You know, obviously, it's dangerous if you're out there on the roads. This is not that time to be doing that. If you have friends that are in southern part of Greene County is where I'm greatest concerned, let them know, get off the roads. We're just getting a new radar scan update here, and I want to show you what we've got on velocity here. It's interesting. You can see all of us three as meteorologists, the second we get one of those scans, it's kind of like this, Hannah. We all dive in there. I mean, honestly, we're all radar meteorologists. Radar gives us the ability to see so much in terms of what's going on within the storms. And if you're along 68 right now, this is 3 to 4 miles south of Greensburg between Thurlow and Exie. That area of rotation continues there. Hannah, that rotation, I would say there's been periods where it's been a touch stronger. But at the same time, there's no question this is strong enough to still warrant a tornado warning.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're still looking at that same area of rotation right here. And when we say rotation, you can see how the red has kind of folded over the green a little bit. This is not a straight line from Greensburg down toward Exie, toward Little Barron. That's what we would like to see here, is a straight line. That would be no rotation. It would just be, you know, relatively strong wind. But because you see this kind of folding over and snaking around on itself right around the Thurlow area, that's where we're seeing that rotation. Now again, the wind is strong regardless, but because we're seeing that kind of fold over, that's where we're looking for that tornadic potential. So we mentioned Thurlow, you're just about a couple of minutes away. You need to be in your safe place. If we're calling out cities or roads that are anywhere near where you live, go ahead and go to your safe place. We'd rather you be there and everything be okay than you not be there and something go wrong. So go ahead and grab the kids, the family dog, go ahead and go to your safe place, which is the lowest level of your home, away from windows. We want to put as many walls between you and this storm as we can. So again, Thurlow just a couple minutes away from you, and this whole thing continues to push to the east very quickly. It's moving at about 40, 45 miles an hour, and we do have this tornado watch. Mark, are there updates on the watches or any of the warnings in effect?
So where we stand right now, we've got a tornado watch for Marion, Taylor, Greene, and Adair. You know, the crazy thing is that's about as thin of a tornado watch as you will ever see. I think my sense here is National Weather Service had to start and legitimately issuing some tornado warnings. Storms Prediction Center made an adjustment and are like, well, we need to get this area under a watch here very quickly. Hence the reason that very, very thin, almost a 2 or 3 countywide watch was issued. You know, I think you could sit here and argue that, you know, when a watch is something that you're supposed to have before the severe weather occurred, we kind of all sense that along and south of the parkways, this could be needed at one point. At the same time, the storms, this is not your classic scenario where you have your supercell thunderstorms and you have a large-scale tornado threat. These are quick spin-ups, and these can be localized. And, you know, we focused on along and south of the parkways as being that greatest threat. You know, and ultimately, the reason we thought that was a little bit better is while there's not much fuel, Hannah, there's a smidge in the southern part of our area. The winds are crazy across our area. I mean, you go into, you know, a mile above the ground, you're going to be in 70-mile-an-hour winds. They are crazy strong, and there is a lot of wind energy on a scenario like this.
Yeah, so that's why this watch makes sense. I mean, again, I know the timing's a little strange, but this whole setup is a little strange. The positioning of it makes complete sense, especially when you see it here in relation to where the active tornado warning is. So this is the Weather Service saying, hey, we still expect that this is going to be a threat for those of you included in the watch for the next several hours. Now, does it go to 7 o'clock in the morning? We'll have to wait and see. Not totally sure about that, but It does give you a heads up that we are likely to see these storms progress east at the strength they're at now.
And we can look inside these thunderstorms and the height of them. Rick, this is one of the things that you and we look at these from severe weather perspective. Some of these storms can go 12 miles up in the atmosphere. They can be massive. This is a storm that only goes to about 20,000 feet. Rick, let me just quickly note here, National Weather Service, new tornado warning for Adair, Casey, Greene, and Taylor County until 11:39. So we'll come back to that here. But these storms don't penetrate as deeply into the atmosphere as some of our spring or summertime storms.
Yeah, those kind of storms we typically always say, and you probably hear us time and time say again, the taller the storm, the stronger it is. Well, these things don't have to grow very tall to tap into some of that wind energy aloft. So just to give you some perspective, you're looking at, here's the surface, and here's high up in the atmosphere, okay? Where the planes fly is right around here. It's around 30 to 35,000 feet, okay? So these things are lower. They're about 20 to 25,000 feet, and that's at the very top of the storm. The core is around 10,000 feet, so they aren't that tall, but these things have ton of wind energy in those lower levels to pull that down to the surface and just enough spin in the atmosphere to induce that rotation, to prompt tornado warnings. So just to tell you, these things mean business, and I know we do have a new tornado warning, so I do want to get you the latest information on that particular warning because this covers counties that we have not seen under a tornado warning yet.
So new tornado warning here just issued. This one extends basically kind of where we stood. Here's the notable thing about this. This goes further into the future. When you issue a warning out this far out ahead of a storm, I think that you're speaking to the confidence level, A, that this storm is going to continue to rotate, and B, that this storm poses a legitimate threat of producing a tornado. I need you in your safe spot immediately if you're in Greensburg. If you're in the Kane Valley area, safe spot. Now, tornado warning moving towards you, center part of your house. I need you to keep away from windows, lowest floor. This is going to be the safe place to be. If you're in Clementsville, if you're in Dunnville, I need you to take your tornado safety precautions now. This is a very, very fast-moving storm. A new tornado warning also issued for Marion. So this is just north of this. This is an area where we have not had a tornado warning yet. New tornado warning just issued for Marion in Washington County. Need you to get into your safe spot. If you're in the Pennock area, if you're in Gravel Switch, new tornado warning just issued for you. We've kind of alluded to this and been very clear that the northern part of this line was rotating too. National Weather Service agrees. They've made an adjustment now and added into the tornado warning Marion and Washington County. This one goes until 12:15 Eastern. So you have several areas under a tornado warning. And then we have in the Yuma area, in the Nifley area, Barnett Springs. If you're in Dunnville, I need you in your safe spot. Downstairs, center part of the house. Need you to keep away from windows. That's a huge one in some of the scenarios like this because there'll be quick spin-ups. You know, here's the truth. I know that whenever people hear a tornado warning, there's this sense that I need to go out there and look at it. You have to understand in reality that can be the last decision you make. We always just try to be forthcoming. Please, don't be the spectator on a scenario like this. Be the one that's in your safe spot. Take these seriously. We have a history of producing some damage in the area. I believe these are legitimate warnings from the National Weather Service, and we can get quick spin-ups without much notice. You can feel like everything's great, I'm safe, and then it can happen very quickly. One of the main issues in a scenario like this where we're looking at things that are occurring at night is, Rick, there are people that have gone to bed or are preparing to get in bed. There are kids that the parents have already put to sleep. This is not one, I feel like you need to take this seriously. Get the kids up, get them into the safe spot. When we think that it's not going to happen to me is not the right attitude. These are very quick spinning. It can feel like things are under control and get out of control very fast.
Yeah, no, people feel inconvenienced, right? Like, I want to go to bed. I need my 8 hours of sleep, right. And a lot of people think about that. But this is one of those times you can't think about yourself. Think about the rest of your family, your friends, and everyone else in your household. This is something that can do damage. And even if that tornado isn't near your house or you don't get one nearby, there's winds with this thing that can easily take down some tree limbs, if not the entire tree. And I've seen so many cases where tree limbs have come down, hit the story of a house or just the first level for a lot of those ranches and do damage and hurt people. Unfortunately, this is one of those scenarios where it can easily unfold simply because the water is coming down fast, all of the ground is completely saturated, it can't really hold the ground, the roots. So I'm thinking winds 40, 50 miles an hour, that's all it's going to take to knock down these trees. And we have winds which are far beyond that. So definitely a real threat. Not just tornado, but also wind is another thing we have to keep in mind. And we have two not just encompassing one or two areas. It's a bunch. Lebanon, Riley, down through Cane Valley, Nifley, Dunville, Liberty. I mean, basically any single one of these towns, you have to be on guard for a tornado, and the potential is definitely there.
You know, the thing is obviously all three of us being here tonight is we anticipated that we were going to get some tornado warnings. Same time, once we hit around 10:30, it was kind of, we all were like, let's get ready. We were virtually guaranteeing that we were going to get a tornado warning out of this, at least in parts of the area. I'm going to step over to the weather wall here really quickly, and I want to go up and down that line. So to speak to Louisville here, I do not think that there is a threat for a tornado or severe weather as it stands in Louisville. While I do think obviously we're going to continue to get heavy rain, my concern is within the main line that is very clear here on radar near the Frankfurt area. And what I want to do is, Rick, spend a little time going up and down that line in terms of what I see in rotation and where my concern levels are. So we've got at Springfield some strong gusty winds, but you'll notice that the National Weather Service put this new tornado warning in here. It is right over Lebanon. So Lebanon, you have got to be in your tornado safe spot now. If you're in Bradfordsville, you're just off to the south. But Rick, let's scope that area and see how we're looking on rotation here right now. So the problem here is there are several areas of rotation. Let's just say 2 miles off to the east of the Lebanon area. We have one area of rotation right here. And then as we go just to the west of Bradfordsville, it looks like there is a second area of rotation that is right along that tornado warning line. If you're in Bradfordsville, you're not in the tornado warning, but I have concerns with that second area of rotation here very close to you. So there's one near Lebanon, there's one near the Bradfordsville area. These are both things that we need to take seriously. Again, let me be clear. You can get quick spin tornadoes even if you're not in the warning on a scenario like this. They can happen very fast. Sometimes when you wait for the tornado warning, it can be a little bit too late. So there's our new scan right now between the Romine area and Cane Valley. Here's our area of rotation that's a little bit stronger. Subtle rotation as we go just north of Columbia. So Columbia, just on your edge, is the tornado warning. Rick, I'd like to see just a touch further south after you give me the time, because I just want to make sure for Columbia where we stand. So this puts it in Holmes in 11 minutes from now, Nifley 18 minutes from now. 18 minutes in the Nifley area. So you protect yourself ahead of time. But you can see as we move towards Columbia, and I want to look at that part of the line that's near Gradyville, that's ultimately heading towards the Columbia area. So what you'll notice is the green and the reds are next to each other, but it appears tilted a little bit towards the northeast. What you'll notice is it's a little bit more. And so the radar comes in on a scan just through here. So what it's saying here is the rotation. This may not necessarily be rotation. This may be stronger winds near the Gradyville area. But you can see how that torques a little bit towards the northwest, right near the Cane Valley area. And that's that area where we have concern about the tornado. This has been an area that's been rotating now. We started this, we kind of talked about it maybe 10:30-ish. And the first tornado warning coming out around 10:15. Impressive that you have a kind of a lone area that has shown signs of rotation for going on 2 hours here in November. That is not our normal scenario here right now. By the way, Hannah, I'm going to come to you here in a moment as Hannah's looking within these areas of the storms, A, trying to determine rotation, and B, trying to determine if we have any debris being lofted here. So Hannah, I'm going to come over to you, and you're looking at two things. So let's kind of organize ourselves. Bottom part of that screen is near the Greensburg area. So Hannah, what you're looking at within there, we kind of talked about this earlier. You look for where the pink goes to green, and in certain scenarios that can say that there's a tornado. What are you seeing as you look at that right now?
This is super interesting. I'm actually going to, so we just got a new scan there. As I zoom out, it's tougher to see those small differences, but I'm going to zoom back in. I want to go back up toward the Lebanon area, just outside Calvary. I don't love that. In fact, let's see. I want to put two panels on this and put
we can't do two panels on this one, and it's a little tight on the screen, unfortunately.
Okay, we'll go back to one, and we'll flip it back over to reflectivity, putting a marker here, right outside the Calvary area. If this lines up, and it does, it is in an area of high reflectivity, there's the potential that that's some debris that's been lofted into the cloud from from straight line wind, from a potential tornado, from something that's done damage. There's a potential that is debris. We know that because it looks different. We explained this to you a little bit earlier, that the pink here says, hey, everything in this looks the same. That essentially would be rain. It's raining everywhere. So where we see differences, it tells us, hey, there's something up in the cloud, in the sky, that looks different. That could be leaves. Sometimes it's hail, but this is really not a hail sort of setup this evening. So likely, especially since we see so many of those little spots, there's likely some leaves, maybe some small tree branches, or small limbs or something of that nature that's up in the cloud. It's interesting though that it's not just the one spot. Normally, Mark, when we're looking at kind of more supercell type of tornado, we see one spot of a different color in this product that says, hey, this is definitely debris. Here, there are several different spots that look like a little bit of a debris signature.
And we're in fall here. We're shedding leaves off a lot of our trees. Exactly. So we kind of expect that we're going to see a lot of leaves that are lofted in a scenario like this. When we look at this, we refer to this as a tornado debris signature, if indeed one of these is occurring. There are scenarios, like you said, that are cut and dry. You are 100% sure. This is a tough scenario because, like you and I just mentioned, there are going to be leaves scattered all along this line, and these are more of the quick style spin-ups. And so, could this be a tornado debris signature? It's possible, but I don't feel like we're 100% as things stand at this point. You've got the southern storm as well. Kind of do the same exercise here near the Cane Valley area. We see those little areas, but there's nothing really that would jump out and say, I am sure exactly what I'm seeing here. Yeah,
you're exactly right. I know your eye is drawn to that spot just south of Columbia. The yellows, the oranges there are a little bit brighter. I know you can see that. Mark points it out to you with the arrow. Again, it's very possible that could be something inside the cloud. It's most likely leaves, because as we mentioned, that's the season, that's the time of year that it is, that's what we're watching for, and it's, it just makes perfect sense that we would have some leaves up in the cloud. So not necessarily the tornado debris signature that you're used to thinking about, but something certainly.
And so we take you out back to the wide perspective, again being clear that along and north of the river there is no severe weather threat here for the Louisville area. There's no severe weather threat for Madison. Heavy rain falling right now. Frankfort through Lawrenceburg, I think 40-mile-an-hour winds are going to be common along the line, which would head towards the Harrodsburg area. If you're in Gravel Switch right now and in Bradfordsville, you've got that area of rotation that continues. Looking within that, you can see that area right now would be along 337. I want to give you a zoom tighter perspective. This is south of Riley right now. This is south of Gravel Switch. That area of rotation will be very close to Riley here shortly. Take your tornado safety precautions in Gravel Switch and Riley immediately. Storms moving off to the east super fast at 45 miles per hour near the Cane Valley area north of Columbia. Continuing to watch rotation within this portion of the line. Right over Cane Valley right now is where our area of rotation is. And Rick, again, you and I always talk about this. We work together for far too many hours, my friend. You're obviously thinking exactly like I am. Rick and I, there's always this kind of ongoing joke about us because we work 8 hours together. We're together far too long. You're with me more than you are with your wife.
I know. We dress like sometimes too by accident. And that's.
But I'm thinking, let's look at that rotation within that line. If you're in Cane Valley, obviously that is that area of concern right now. These normalized rotations where we see green. You and I say this, green means go.
Right, and by that we mean green means go, possible tornado, be in your safe place, do not wait another minute. So again, right around Cane Valley, this is the most potent, the most powerful storm we have out there right now. And when you have that area of green, it's inside of there that we call this normalized rotation value, which indicates there is definitely spinning going on, the possibility of a tornado, and that is why I do not want you to take any risk. It's time to be downstairs. So this is around Burris Road, about to move into Pelham Branch and Skin House Branch Road, another one that you need to watch out for, Long Hunters Camp Road. And let me just give you one last, Coburg Road. If any of those sound familiar, if you live just to the west of Cane Valley, hopefully if you can hear my voice, now is the time to be in your safe place. So again, we're looking at normalized rotation, just highlighting areas where there is turbulence, spin in the atmosphere, and certainly approaching Cane Valley. I hope you're definitely taking precautions because this one is no joke. We already have reports of this storm doing some damage, and unfortunately, it looks like that could unfold at any given minute. This tornado is kind of skipping its way across our southern counties, and it does look like these are the zones that we need to watch out for in the hours to come. And it's not just the potential for a tornado, it's also some powerful winds. And Hannah's going to take you through a little tour of the area and show you exactly what's going on.
And that's one of the positives here, Hannah, is we're getting towards the end of our counties, which is something that is a good thing.
That is a wonderful thing. I want to do just kind of a recap. I want to take you through what we're watching here, the line, what we're talking about, big picture. So we start with our zoomed out view, and first, your eye is drawn to Louisville. Okay, look at the rain here. Most of this has passed. I mean, we're not really looking at a tornado threat for the city anymore. What we're watching is south and east of Louisville, the metro, Louisville proper. So here's the line that we're looking at, stretching from Frankfort down south toward Lebanon. In fact, it even goes farther than that. So in the next couple of minutes, Georgetown, you got 5 minutes-ish, 5 to 6 minutes. It's time to be in your safe place. Wilmore, you have about 15 minutes. This is headed toward Lexington, 25 minutes from now, and still about a half hour from Paris. Now, that's obviously outside of not only the warning boxes, but outside of our WDRB counties as well. This is going to continue to progress east overnight. So the first tornado warning that we want to talk about, they have cut Washington County now out of this warning, but you can see the incredibly bright colors here. First of all, there's heavy rain happening. Okay, so we are likely to see some flash flooding behind this incredibly heavy rainfall, but the main concern for this particular area just outside Gravel Switch is the potential for a tornado. So we're seeing the bright red next to the less bright red. Once we get away from the radar, we don't always see the red right next to the green, but where we see those two different colors right next to each other gives us a great indicator that there is still some rotation. So this is right on top of Gravel Switch. If you live near the city, live near the town, be in your safe place now. Wilsonville, you have about 15 minutes. Mitchellsburg, you're still about 9 or 10 minutes away. Junction City, about 23 minutes until this storm gets to you. Again, we are then outside of the warning box, but this is going to keep moving east. It doesn't just disappear once it leaves the box. So between the two warnings, we have a little segment of the storm. Strong wind is still incredibly likely here, whether it's tornadic or not. So that line continues to move east about 40 or 45 miles an hour. Peyton Store, 5 or 6 minutes away from you guys. Ellisburg, you have about 10 to 12 minutes. Turnersville, you're still about 30 minutes away. And again, then we're starting to get outside of the warning boxes, but this storm will continue to be strong as it moves to the east. So now you see our second tornado warning box, this one a bit farther south, and the rotation here shows up a little bit better than what we just looked at. It's the greens right next to the reds, and you see how it kind of makes an S shape. Normally, we would like to see a straight line here. That would say, well, this is going to be a straight line wind event. But here, from Yuma down toward Cane Valley, down continuing to the south, we have that kind of S curve, and that's where the rotation is happening here, and it has already caused damage. Again, whether it's tornadic or not, the radar indicates there could be a tornado here, but we're already causing damage. Let's go ahead and put a track on the rotation here. It's moving again to the east about 40 or 45 miles an hour. So you need to be in your safe place. If you are near Barnett Springs, you're about 10 minutes away. Liberty, you're still about 20 minutes away. So as this, again, moves east out of our WDRB counties, we're near that time, not quite there yet. We're going to continue to keep an eye on it. I see the guys are watching our Storm View 3D a little bit. You guys have an update over there, seeing any differences in the rotation?
Yes. Quickly mentioning, though, we just got a report from the National Weather Service that 911 call center is reporting damage, at least 2 trees that are down on Mammoth Cave Road and Mammoth Cave Park, which is an area that we saw the rotation moving through earlier. Rick, you've kind of got Storm View 3D right now, and you can kind of track that area rotation. One of the things we mentioned that the brighter these colors are, the more intense that rotation. And you kind of saw it peaking near Horse Cave. I got to say, a positive trend that we're seeing is that rotation appears to be coming down, not just in portions of the line, but it appears most of the line, that rotation may be tailing downward.
Right, and I can kind of show you the evolution of this and how this is all unfolding here. Starting off with the first tornado warning we had for Hart County, there you can see it being issued. So again, this is back in time. I'm moving forward in time. Just north of Horse Cave is where we saw that pop, where normalized rotation values spiked a little bit. And you can see it maintains a very powerful line all the way from Hodgenville down through areas like Glasgow and Horse Cave. As it moves to the east, new tornado warnings were issued for southern parts of Greene County. Rotation continued to parts of Adair County, but watch the area of green shrivel up and get smaller with each and every scan. And here's your present scan. I also want to note that tornado warning up near Lebanon has transitioned. So in Marion County, we are going from tornado warning over to a severe thunderstorm warning. Another sign that these storms are kind of coming down in intensity.
And you know, truth be told, here is we are the most significant area of rotation now has left Greene County. So we basically have Taylor and Adair County, the only counties that remain right now under a tornado warning here. Like Rick said, you know, I think this is an important thing to note here is that you're starting to see the National Weather Service now transitioning from the tornado warnings for Danville more towards severe thunderstorm warnings. We still have